Hello, welcome to Undisputed Boxing. It's a boxing news edition. If you're new to the channel, please hit the like and subscribe button, leave a comment. We're here to talk news. We're going to start off with BT Sport is looking like it's going to be bought by Dazn. This story has gathered a lot more pace just over the last week. I think obviously they're looking to get hold of the Premier League or start taking some of the market share. Big move, and obviously it'll have a huge impact on the boxing as well. Obviously, with Dazn looking to grow their boxing in the UK, and BT Sport have obviously a pretty big stable under Frank Warren. It could also create an interesting dynamic between Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren. What's your take on this, Rick? And have you heard anything interesting on this?
I mean, there was a talk about it a few months ago. It seemed to go quiet, and then it kind of intensified. So, I mean, I don't think you can deny that there's advanced talks, because when people in the know have been asked the question, they've not denied it, but they've not gone into too much detail. So I think on the cards, yeah, what it means for boxing, hard to know really, because I suppose then contracts will move to Dazn really. So Frank Warren's contract will move to Dazn. It may be a separate one like Golden Boy is. So I don't know if it will be, I'm not sure if they will go under Eddie Hearn or anything like that. Or Warren has to kind of work. Well, he has to work with Hearn to some degree, but not work for him or anything like that. It might just be a separate thing like Golden Boy is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you're right. I think it's mainly a play for the footy. Not sure what it means for us because I've got BT, but I've also downloaded the Dazn app.
Yeah.
Do with losing the membership of one of those.
The last few cards that BT Sport have been showing on the boxing has not been great, has it? They haven't had. When was the last time they had a big fight? I know they've got the Fury Wilder 3 on pay-per-view.
The last one I was really that bothered about that we watched together.
Yeah,
that was a while ago.
Yeah, so
and we have found out there is a fight this weekend, but it's not one we're particularly interested in.
Yeah, it's not exactly going to sort of whet the appetite, is it, for the big one in Vegas? But yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting move, and yeah, obviously Dazn. So I do think that Dazn's stable because obviously Matchroom have lost quite a few fighters, whether that's through choice or not, to Sky. Some of them are staying on the Sky platform. David Avanysen, Josh Kelly. They've obviously got Josh Taylor and obviously Chris Eubank Jr. as well. So that's not a bad start, is it? Not bad, sort of stable of fighters. And if they start making play for, and who knows, they might be able to keep Anthony Joshua as well. So that's a decent stable.
I do find it semi-cringe looking at Sky now, how they're like kissing the asses of so many fighters they never really spoke about.
Yeah.
And some they deserve to kiss their ass and they just never have, and some they're just building up and probably aren't all that up to much.
Yeah. Just on that, what did you make of David Avanysen versus Liam Taylor for the European?
Yeah, I felt it was a bit of a mismatch, really. He kind of dealt with him relatively easy. I can't remember what round it was, but it was quite early on, I think.
Second round.
Yeah.
I watched the full fight. It was, second round stoppage. It was a bit of a firefight. I think Liam Taylor knew that he wasn't really going to be able to outbox him, so just kind of went for broke really to try to see if he could try and catch him. He had a slight height and reach advantage over Avanysen, but he just kept on walking him down. He didn't really have any kind of power to trouble. He did catch Avanysen a few times, but nothing that was going to trouble him. And
yeah, very accurate as well with his punching in the second round, Avanysen. And just felt it was people in two different classes.
Yeah.
Shame about the well, I don't know if it was a shame about the Eubank fight, because the first one didn't really get me going. Then he pulled out and there was a replacement. That definitely didn't get me going, and then that didn't happen. So.
Yeah, I mean, I just find the whole Chris Eubank Jr. thing very, very frustrating. I must admit, when he was kind of coming on the scene, when he was like in his mid-20s, I was naturally quite excited because I was a big fan of his dad. You know, in the 90s, he really kind of, you know, he wasn't everybody's cup of tea, but he was a character, and he was great. You know, he was good to watch when he was in good fights. And I was in the minority of that liked Chris Eubank Jr. I was fairly aware of that. But his career's just never really got going. Even that fight against Billy Joe Saunders, that was a close fight, and Eubank Jr. had no business being in the ring with Billy Joe Saunders. He was really only there because he was a name, but he'd been fighting very, very low opposition, and then to go into the ring with a Billy Joe Saunders, who at that time was really kind of cleaning up the domestically, and had some really good wins under his belt, John Ryder and Nick Blackwell and all those guys. You know, he was really the top middleweight in Britain, and it was a split decision loss. So he really could have kicked on from there if he'd have got the right trainer, the right promoter. You know, he could have been you know, our, you know, another pay-per-view star genuinely. But he's been with every promoter since then, been with so many different trainers, and he's 32 now. You know, and he hasn't really had any decent fights. And every interview you see him, he's wearing like all the flashy gear and the flashy suits and the big coat, and he's talking about the same stuff about fighting, you know, Triple G and Canelo and all those guys. And he was doing that like 4 or 5 years ago.
Have you thought about going to speak to someone about this?
I did say I didn't want to talk about it because I will go off on a rant. But yeah, I'll get down from my soapbox. Yeah, I don't know. Right, what other news have we got? Let's change the subject.
We did touch on another video about Joshua and very early thoughts, and he's triggered the rematch clause. I mean, and should he have done that? I find it weird when people are telling, you know, I've seen people coming out saying, oh, he should just retire, and he should retire when he's ready to, or if he's very old and in danger of getting hurt. I mean, he's 31, I think, Joshua. And, you know, he has got a chance to fight for the heavyweight championship of the world again. And even if he gets beat again, it's like, well, most of us never get a chance to do that. So to do it again and become a third-time world champion, you got to look at stuff like that. And are you still enjoying it and all that? So I've got no issue with him, and I don't, you know, I wouldn't be shouting like retire. If one, if you're still enjoying it, and two, if you're still going to be in mega fights. You know, so and if he does win, he's unified champion, and it's back on for undisputed. So why on earth wouldn't you? Do I think he'll win? I still struggle to see it from what I saw last time. I've not really watched the fight back. I probably will need to nearer the time, but I do think there's something about Joshua that will find a different approach, and I think it'll be closer next time. But whether he'll do it, I don't know. He might be able to make it close enough where he gets it tight when the judges, you know, we're all like, oh God, maybe he shouldn't have quite got that, and he nicks it. But I still have to lean towards Usyk. The only thing I think of is that Usyk can't do, I don't think Usyk can do any more. That is his trick, but he's just so good at it. So he's not going to suddenly change. So I think if Joshua finds an answer to that, which is very, very difficult, I'm not sure it can do anything different, if you know what I mean. And don't get me wrong, that sounds like I'm making him sound very simple, but it's not like he can suddenly, his arms can grow and he can like, you know, punch from distance and keep really far back, you know. Suddenly his power is going to go up tenfold and he can do a one-punch knockout. You know, I think if he can work out a way to crack the puzzle, then he may crack it. But because I don't think Usyk will be able to do something different, but hell of a puzzle to try and crack. Yeah,
it is. I know, well, people are very quick to jump on it. I mean, there's always going to be a section of fans that are not fully sold on AJ, and they're just generally haters. And can't wait for him to lose, and then they just jump on it, and some people just like chaos. And
yeah, I mean, you know, if Fury gets sparked out, I wouldn't be like the first to go retire. Same with Wilder. If they, you know, if they enjoy the boxing, enjoy the training, they could the loser of that fight can be in big fights again.
Yeah.
You know, Wilder could, you know, if he got beat again, he could have a step down. He could end up fighting. You know what I mean? If you enjoy the big night, what I don't like is seeing Holyfield out there.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know. No one's got any right going, oh, he should retire. He should retire.
It's all on you're right. It's all on the mentality and your desire. You know, Vladimir Klitschko, I think, lost to Corey Sanders, Layman Brewster. I think they were like maybe those two defeats were 2 years apart, and he'd already lost leading up to that. So he's got 3 defeats, and there were bad ones as well, bad defeats. And look what he did after that. Reigned for 10 years.
What you want? Look at Chisora. He's lost 10 fights, but he absolutely loves it. He loves his training. He loves the big fight nights. He's still in big fights. He's still in pay-per-view fights.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't agree with that, but yeah.
Why would I want to do? Why would I want to stop? I love these. It's not necessarily about winning, just about taking part. Joshua may not be that way inclined. He might lose this next one, come back, have a few more fights, step up again, get beaten, and go, yeah, call it a day. But that's when, you know, that's up to them.
Yeah, yeah. Well, how old was Nassim Hamed when he retired? Was he like 28? 28, 29, when he lost to Barrera. He just didn't. He had one fight. He had one comeback fight, and he just didn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah, but and Naz is one of the ones that's saying he should retire. But that's because Naz has a mentality of just.
I don't think he's actually said that, has he? Did he say that? I think that was that video that was going around. He said that about Eubank Jr. I don't think he said that about AJ.
Okay, let's.
But yeah. Staying with the heavyweights, Dillian Whyte is going to be installed as the WBC mandatory if he wins against Otto Wallin. Thoughts?
Is that 100%?
Not 100%, no. But
no.
Obviously, he's gone legal with WBC, and I think if they just install him as mandatory and next, then obviously he'll drop the case.
Yeah, I think beat Wallin. He's deserved anyway. Really, he's put 1 foot wrong, got punished, came back and did the business, and you know, so yeah, he just should, no qualms with that whatsoever. And you know, hopefully what Fury can do Wilder, and we see that fight early next year.
Dillian Whyte versus Tyson Fury. That is a cracking fight, isn't it? That is one that I would really get up for.
The build-up's amazing.
The build-up will be amazing. I just wonder if the WBC will play their old trick though and just make Fury franchise champion and just give him a pass. I really hope they don't do that. But yeah, we've got 2 fights that we've got 2 results that we need before we even get that, and that's even if the WBC do sanction that. I think that's about it. Demetrius Andrade has been, I think there's been heavily talked about Jason Quigley in November for his WBO middleweight title. I think that's a really, really good fight. Been pretty high on Jason Quigley for a few years. Yeah, what do you reckon to that?
I'm not that clued up on Quigley, so I probably need to look into that a bit more before. I always find Andrade, I struggle to get pumped for Andrade fights. 1, because of the time, and 2, never the most, you know, entertaining. So yeah, not pumped at the moment. I mean, soon we should be getting, you know, the first of the January and February cards coming through, and still need to find a bit more about who's on some of the undercards, especially for the one I want to go to in Manchester, Chisora Parker.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'll be interesting when we start getting some of those. I suppose just a final thing, we didn't mention it. We're a bit behind the times. I think we did a video like a few hours before it happened, but the Canelo Plants shenanigans, always interesting to see a weigh-in. You know, what did you think?
It was the press conference. Yeah, Caleb Plant is like that though. Caleb Plant is really like mouthy. He likes to get in people's faces and talk trash. I remember he was there when James DeGale was fighting Caleb Truax, the first one that he actually lost. Caleb Plant, I think he was part of the camp, or he was there just to kind of. He was quite high up on the IBF, and he was just there talking trash. And I think he ended up in an altercation with James DeGale. So he's got kind of previous for this kind of behavior. And yeah, I mean, it's kind of expected if you're going to get in Canelo's face and you know, play those kind of tricks.
What I found funny, I watched a Boxing Voice video later that night, and they, you know, some of them are proper PBC boys, and it was they somehow managed to find a way where Plant came out on top of that.
Really?
Now he got shoved and went flying back. He took a swing, whether he clipped him slightly or not, but he ends up with a cut with a great counter, and suddenly it was, oh, he's, you know, he showed him he's not scared of him. Well,
it's the worst thing you could do though, is to kind of, it's just basically lit a fire in Canelo, and you know, he doesn't have many weaknesses, and you've got Canelo, you know, got somebody like Canelo walking you down.
I actually really want Canelo to win this just because of PBC.
Yeah, it's strange how some channel.
I want him to flatten him in 3 or 4. Do you know what I mean? Like make it quite easy work.
Yeah, I still don't understand why you get some channels that just can't really be objective. Right, we've lost him. Let's just see if he comes back in. Probably not. All right, we're going to wrap it up. I think we're pretty much done. So thanks to everybody for listening, and yeah, we'll see you next time.